Good evening. Listen, if you've heard about the Real ID, if you've not heard about the Real ID, this is your public service announcement. Stop and listen for 5 minutes. You're going to need this information. I went to register my vehicle and get my Texas state ID this week. And to my surprise, even though I had a valid driver's license and I just needed to transfer from one state to the next, I absolutely felt like I had arrived into a different country when I went in to get my Texas driver's license. They will not see you unless you have an original birth certificate or a passport. If you don't have a United States birth certificate, they need to see that you have been naturalized and that you are a U.S. citizen. You have to have that or your passport and a social security card. The United States next year will make it mandatory for everyone to have a real ID, okay? It's either a real ID driver's license or a real ID identification card. You can no longer carry both. But if you don't have your original birth certificate, go get it. You will no longer, your existing driver's license, whether expire or not, will no longer be valid. You can't use it at the airports to go, like if you take a flight from state to state, they won't accept your old one. You have to have a real ID. If you go to register your kids for school, you got to have a real ID. If you go to the DMV, you're going to have a real ID. If anything you do, they said that you're going to have this ID. I have not heard about that before. I was shocked this week. Okay? Not only was I shocked that I had to update to this, I was shocked that it won't matter next year whether you have a valid driver's license that expired or not. It won't be valid anymore. So if you don't have your birth certificate, if you don't have a passport, if you don't have your social security card, go get it, because next year they're rolling this out and it will be mandatory. You will not be able to go from state to state traveling with your old identification cards. They said that they're cracking down on U.S. citizenship and making sure that you are a U.S. citizen to carry these things. And if you don't have a real ID next year, 2025, you will be literally restricted on what you can do in the United States. Not my word, go Google it. So this is your public service announcement. If you don't have your birth certificate, if you don't have a social security card, if you don't have a passport, go get them. You will need your original. If you weren't born in this country, get your naturalization paper. It cannot be a copy. It has to be an original. Have these things on hand, because the United States is cracking down on who's here literally as U.S. citizen. I won't get into the rabbit hole of why this is all happening. I just need to let you guys know, because I was shocked this week when I went to go transfer one valid driver's license to a new state. I felt like I had arrived in a foreign country, and they treated me like a foreigner until I could validate my U.S. citizenship. So this is your public service announcement, guys. If you don't have your ID updated yet and you want to wait till next year, fine. Just make sure you got an original copy of your birth certificate, a passport, a social security card, because you will need it. If you weren't born in this country, you need your naturalization paperwork to prove you are a citizen. Okay? At the end of the day, if you don't have these things, you're going to find yourself in a pickle, not only to go get your real ID, but also when everybody else is forced to get this ID and they don't have these items. So the Social Security Administration, the birth certificate people, the passport people, they're all going to be backed up. So this is your chance to get those things if you don't have them. You will need them. It'll be mandatory next year. Mandatory. So if you don't have it, get it. Okay? God bless you guys and have a great evening.